Tonight, new information reveals the Sask Party MLA's connection to a second hotel paid to house social service clients. Also,
just knowing that it's there and I can feel it growing.
We meet one of the many women waiting for cancer care, but facing bottlenecks in the healthcare system. Plus, CFL free agency gets underway. Who's in and who's out for the green and white?
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, February 13th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for watching. A Saskatchewan Party MLA is once again the focus of questions around spending and social services. The NDP has revealed more details around payments to hotels for housing social services clients. And as Alexander Kwan reports, it's once again connected to MLA Gary Greywall.
Looking at this as a member of the public, it's extremely concerning. It looks bad and it possibly is bad.
Harsh words from the official opposition, who are calling on the provincial government to get its house in order after revealing more details about issues at the Ministry of Social Services. Last fall, the NDP raised concerns about a person who was charged more for a hotel room after social services started paying for it. That room was in the Sunrise Motel, which is owned by Saskatchewan Party MLA Gary Greywall. Today, the NDP revealed Greywall is also an investor in the Thrift Lodge in Regina. It also received business from social services, and the NDP says it also appears to have elevated its prices once the government started covering costs.
These are two of the cheapest hotels on this list, cheapest for you or I, but they're charging some of the highest rates, and indeed in the case of the Thrift Lodge, the highest rate.
Data released by the Ministry of Social Services to the NDP backs up their claims. In 2022-2023, the average cost per night at the Sunrise Motel for social services was $151, while the Thrift Lodge charged $186 per night. In both cases, that's more than double what those rooms would cost the general public right now. Over the course of that year, about half of the money spent on housing clients for social services in Regina went to those two hotels. Social Services Minister Jean Mikowski didn't agree to an interview today. Instead, he issued a statement. Mikowski says some hotels won't accept people on income assistance because of past issues. He says that limits the province's options. Some changes announced last week are meant to avoid this in the future. The ministry now needs 3 quotes from hotels before picking one to house clients. They also must enter into a formal contract with specific hotels in Saskatoon and Regina. The NDP says that's not enough.
What I would expect from the minister and from Premier Moe, to be honest, is to look into whether any of the other hotels utilized by the Ministry of Social Services has ties to Sask Party MLAs.
Greywall didn't comment on these latest developments. Saskatchewan's auditor is supposed to look into all of this, but when we will get that report or what will come out of it isn't clear. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
It's been a little over 2 months since the province announced it would send patients to Calgary to reduce backlogs in breast cancer testing. But as more women are diagnosed, more bottlenecks have emerged. As Laura Sharpoletti reports, the province says it's working on solutions.
I've definitely felt the lump grow. It's starting to cause me some discomfort, just knowing that it's there and I can feel it growing.
For Lisa Vick, life has become one long wait. She found a lump in her breast in September and was diagnosed with cancer in early December. Her case was deemed urgent and she was sent to Calgary for a biopsy to determine what kind of breast cancer she was dealing with. Vic has had the results since January 18th, but now she's waiting to see a surgeon and can't begin treatment until that happens.
How many women are going from a curable cancer to an uncurable metastatic cancer that they've been waiting for treatment and now their treatment options are fewer? They have to fight it way more aggressively and their lives are at risk, all because the waiting.
Regina only has 2 surgeons who regularly take breast cancer patients. The health minister tells CBC he's concerned about Vic's long wait.
It isn't an acceptable period of time because every day, every week that passes when it comes to a cancer diagnosis, that impacts the chances of being able to treat it properly and successfully.
Here we are in February, 4 or 5 months later, and we still haven't done anything for the patient in terms of treatment. All that leads to, more advanced cases, more difficult recovery times.
The Ministry of Health tells CBC it has a plan for how to treat the likely influx of newly diagnosed breast cancer patients. It's working with the SHA to provide additional supports to Regina doctors who do breast cancer surgeries. That's so they can meet surgical timelines. It's also investing in additional lab resources and technology to improve lab turnaround times for biopsy results in the major lab centers in Regina and Saskatoon. But Vic says communication is lacking. She wants the province to release regular reports on what is being done to recruit radiologists and surgeons, and to tell patients about any progress on reducing wait lists and bottlenecks.
Someone saying, hey, we do know we're working on this, we understand that there's an issue, is a huge help.
That we need to make sure that, number one, we're getting patients the diagnosis and the treatment as quickly as possible. But as part of helping them move through that system, we need to make sure that we're doing our best job that we can to provide that communication so that patients know what the next steps are, and just to reassure them that they are going to get taken care of.
Vic says she wants to encourage other women in her situation to advocate for themselves and to call their doctors, surgeons, and cancer centers to make sure their cases are moving through the system. Laura Sharpaletti, CBC News, Regina.
The personal data of up to 20,000 people may have been stolen from a Saskatchewan school division. It goes back to a cyber attack at Southeast Cornerstone Public School Division a year ago. A report from the province's Information and Privacy Commissioner on the security breach was released earlier this month. It says 8 archive files were found to have been removed from its network during the cyber attack in February of 2023. It's not clear how many people are affected, if any. That's because the school division couldn't determine that information. But in the case of employees, some of their social insurance numbers and banking information may have been stolen.
And it's not just the financial damages. You can think of a loss of reputation, or you can think of a stress, the just sort of the amount of concern the person has to deal with, now knowing that this information is out there and might be potentially used against them pretty much, any time during their life.
The Privacy Commissioner recommended the school monitor the dark web for 5 years, looking for the information. The report also noted that the division has been doing that since the attack. The growth of homelessness encampments in Canada has reached a crisis. That findings in a new report by the Federal Housing Advocate.
Well, the situation is a question of life and death for a lot of people who are in encampments. And we've seen it throughout the entire winter that people, it's been a mild winter in some areas, and some areas have had incredible colds.
The report says all levels of government across the country are not meeting the needs of the homeless. It estimates that up to 25% of Canada's homeless population lives in tent encampments. They can be found in cities and remote rural areas as well. The report makes several calls to action, including an end to forced evictions and providing necessities of life like food, water, and shelter. An emergency shelter was supposed to open up in the Southerland neighborhood of Saskatoon this spring, but public meetings about it have been postponed until next month. And as Pratush Dayal reports, there's pushback for the shelter.
This used to be a fire hall. Now it's a proposed site for a 30-bed temporary emergency shelter. But people and businesses in Southerland are worried about overall safety.
We have no shelters on the east side, so we definitely need one. It's just this location is a very poor choice.
This man lives across street and says he's worried it will affect the neighborhood.
It's right by a leisure center. It's right by a school. It's right by bars right down the street, an alcohol store, a marijuana dispensary. It's just a very bad location. Not to mention that there's a bus stop right here as well, which means lots of traffic coming in and out.
Residents say there's not enough critical services for those who need shelter in this area. The division representing the school nearby is paying attention too. In a statement, Greater Saskatoon Catholic Schools says safety and security of its staff and students is their primary concern.
My biggest concern is for the children.
For this automotive shop, potential break-ins are also top of mind.
The children should be able to safely go play in the school playground. And I think we're concerned about needles. And we're just concerned for their safety. I mean, the biggest thing is the children. And as far as the residents and the businesses in the area, we're concerned about people loitering, vandalism.
Robert Scott says he's considering installing a fence and creating a night patrol with other businesses.
For us, we have copper. That's a big thing that people steal. So now I have to make sure that I don't have anything in my yard that people can walk by and see.
Brent Badrock says he'll be part of those night patrols. He owns a business nearby and says there are things to be learned from Fairhaven Shelter, which he says affected real estate value.
With people wandering around and basically walking around the neighborhood, people actually walking into houses, businesses having to lock their doors. So it is a concern for me because it's a 30-bed first come, first serve. So anyone else going to be there, then they're going to be hanging around the neighborhood.
More than 300 people crammed into a school gym in Southerland on Sunday. They shared their concerns with their city councillor. He says he agrees with all of them.
Impact on the school operations, concerns about needles to be found in the park. We've all seen what's happened in the community of Fairview with that shelter after it opened up. Crime has gone up by 1,100%. That's 1,100%. And the city has not addressed that properly, and we don't need to have that happen in another neighborhood.
Even sports and recreation groups are weighing in. The vice president of Saskatoon's Minor Hockey Association says he will be talking to City Council and says other people with concerns should do the same. Pratish Dayal, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Recent operations by the RCMP have brought temporary peace to Pelican Narrows. That from the chief of Peter Ballantyne Cree Nation today. Pelican Narrows is one of 7 communities that make up Peter Ballantyne. The village has been under a state of emergency since October. Earlier this month, an open letter was sent to the Prime Minister and Premier asking for help because of the relentless gang-fueled violence. In a crackdown over the weekend, Pelican Narrows RCMP seized 5 guns, 210 grams of meth and contraband booze. 12 people were arrested and dozens of charges were laid. Chief Karen Bird says the goal is enduring safety.
Our community continues to be in crisis, and the path ahead requires unwavering support from all our partners, including all members of our interagencies, to deal with the current crisis, the core issues of addictions and gang violence, on a good path moving forward. So with that, all of this work is a part of a bigger picture of mutual commitment and proactive well-being, where we dream of a future where the opportunities available to our people are equal to those everywhere else. And I also want to say thank you to the RCMP, the task force, for all their work and collaboration with our First Nation, and we continue to work together.
Bird says there will continue to be a higher RCMP presence in Pelican Narrows and security for healthcare workers at their emergency operations shelter. She says they do have a plan going forward, but more work needs to be done. Bird says that includes exploring tribal policing and Indigenous-led programs. When it comes to workplace sexual assault and harassment, Saskatchewan ranks in the top 3 in the country. That's from New Stats Canada data. It says the percentage of employees reporting it here is only behind Alberta and BC. And when it comes to Saskatchewan women, half of those surveyed said they've been harassed in a work setting. To fight this, YWCA Regina offers an education program aiming to transform people from being bystanders to upstanders.
Honestly, it's really challenging, especially as a woman doing this work, as a queer woman. I do have, hard days of facing this stuff. But I think that, like I said, my hope is in the power of community and in the power that I believe humans are inherently good, and that, these are actions done by a small portion of society or a portion of society that doesn't understand the wider impacts of their actions.
The Upstanders program at YWCA is free to attend. Rand says it's already helped more than 1,000 people. CFL free agency is underway, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders have had a busy day. For some guys, it's a return to Riderville.
Then I started reaching out to names I seen on there, and I was seeing who they had at the top, and I was seeing all the same same things. Mace a great guy. Mace is a leader of men. And it was just one of those things I've been sleeping on for months now.
Lineman Jamarcus Hardrick is back in green and white after many strong seasons with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He played 8 games for the Riders in 2015. The Riders have also signed running back A.J. Ouellette, linebacker Jameer Thurman, and defensive back Jalen Edwards-Cooper. And the Herdman Reed twins will suit up next season as Jordan returns to join his brother Justin. Moving on, are Jake Winicky, Derek Moncrief before they were released before free agency. Tevin Jones is off to Montreal, and Micah Teitz is going to Calgary. Well, we got a little snow overnight, but look at the return of lovely sunshine today. Certainly nice out there, enough out there in Regina for a comfortable walk. What's to come as we head into Valentine's Day? Well, Ethan will have your forecast after the break. Stay with us.
This weather update is brought to you by Titan Automotive, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
Welcome back. Our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now. A little snow overnight, but nothing to cause any real problems, I don't think.
No, we might have had to break out a broom or a shovel or two, maybe, perhaps, or I don't think the snow blower was really needed, especially in the Queen City. We didn't see too much snow, only about 3 to 4 centimeters. The heaviest snow was out to the west of Regina in the Lucky Lake area. They did get about 10 centimeters, according to a volunteer report out there. Just north of Regina, about 6 centimeters at Strasbourg, and just southeast of town, about 4 centimeters in the Vibank area. Most of that system has now crossed the border. It's into Manitoba. We are left with just some lingering flurries and cloud cover, kind of sporadic cloud cover. We were expecting things to be a little bit cloudier today in Regina, Saskatoon, but we did get some breaks of sun here and there, although you can see that most of that cloud now moving onto the other side of the border into Manitoba. Usually you'd see some color with this map. We're having a bit of a data issue here, so you only get the numbers tonight. A little bit breezy at times through portions of southeastern Saskatchewan. Gusts up to 40, 50 kilometers an hour. That was causing some visibility issues earlier today on some highways in eastern sections of the province. That has come to an end now. Even breezy through portions of the north with some gusts close to 40 at times. Another colorless map. This one is the current temperatures, where it would show that we are all kind of sitting right around the same temperature, -5. Very similar temperatures thanks to that area of low pressure bringing through the snow, kind of moderating temperatures through most areas. It's really in northern Saskatchewan where we're starting to see temperatures drop a little bit overnight tonight. We've had a cold front that's moved through, and some clearing in that part of the province means that temperatures will be closer to -30 tonight. Maybe some wind chills there, close to -40 at times. Not all of that out of the ordinary for February, but this year it certainly is out of the ordinary. A little bit of some kind of mix of sun and cloud tomorrow through south and central. I think around Saskatoon we could be seeing some snow flurries and cloud cover before that moves away as we head into Friday. High pressure really starting to clear things out. In terms of the north, we have been seeing a separate system move through there a little bit today, and that is going to bring through another centimeter or two to far eastern areas, including Pelican Narrows and Cumberland House, maybe stretching as far south as Hudson Bay. In terms of those winds, still a little bit gusty at times overnight in eastern sections of the province. That continues into tomorrow, maybe some gusts in the range of 40 kilometers an hour. Not likely quite as strong as we saw at times today. So in terms of the 7-day forecast, Regina will be around -7 for your Valentine's Day tomorrow. A little chillier though as we head into Thursday as the clouds clear down into the minus double digits, but not to fear because things warm up pretty quickly heading into the weekend as we keep that sunshine around. A little bit of some cloud cover building in as we start the work week next week. For Saskatoon, pretty similar picture here. I think there's a better chance of some flurries for you tomorrow as we head toward the noon hour, and then some warmer temperatures down the road, Sam. But for Valentine's Day, not all that bad.
No, not bad at all. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Well, speaking of Valentine's Day, this is one of the busiest weeks for flower growers. Columbian flower farms have been working nonstop for what is the big day for their industry. Many South American farms started production 6 months ago. Workers have to pick and pack flowers for export, most of which go to the States, which is their biggest consumer market. Last year, Colombia exported about 52,000 tons of cut flowers in the lead up to Valentine's Day. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. There are serious warnings out about an app that's supposed to help young people make new friends. The Canadian Centre for Child Protection has issued an alert about a significant increase in reports that the app is being used to sexually exploit minors. Julia Wong explains.
The Canadian Centre for Child Protection is warning people about an app called Wiz and recommending parents remove this particular app from their children's phones. Now, Wiz is an app that's similar to Tinder, where users can swipe and message different people randomly. The company behind it says it's a place to meet and make new friends, and users are matched with those who are around their own age. Now, this app is meant for people 12 and up, but the Canadian Centre for Child Protection says it has received more than 180 reports about Wiz since 2021, and reports of this app have grown faster than any other platform. The center says the majority of these reports have concerned extortion, where someone is blackmailed with inappropriate images to then send nudes or money to a predator. Some teens we talked to have found themselves in uncomfortable situations with Wiz.
There's a lot of weird people on there. They like to ask for nudes and stuff like that.
What's happening is there are organized criminals that are located mainly in Africa who are connecting with youth using this app. They're seeking out youth that are within that age range, the 13 to 17 age range, and they are then extorting them for money.
On its website, Wiz says it is committed to protecting children online, saying it uses artificial intelligence, works with government bodies, and has a team of safety experts to ensure Wiz is a secure place for users. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
And Ethan is back with one last look at your weather and one last Valentine's Day reminder.
Yes, that's right. And whether you love or hate this forecast, it is a Valentine's Day forecast after all. We're looking at temperatures around -8 tonight in Regina. Mostly cloudy skies, still a bit breezy through the overnight tonight, but we should start to see those gusts diminish by tomorrow morning. At -11, that's going to probably feel a little closer to -20 or so. And by the afternoon, there is a chance that we could see some flurries. We'll be sitting around -9 as we head into Saskatoon tonight. We're looking for a temperature around -9. A little bit more clearing of the clouds there for you. I think by tomorrow, though, that starts to build back in again. Your temperature down around -14 or so. But notice those winds still fairly light into the afternoon, but a chance of some flurries. Cupid bringing that for the folks in Saskatoon, Sam.
Well played. Thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we leave you, some curling news. Jennifer Jones is retiring from women's curling. This will be her last Scotties. In a statement, the 6-time Scotties champion and Olympic champion says curling has challenged her, has changed her, and has called her to be a better person. But now she's going to make time for other opportunities and focus on her family. Jones will continue to play mixed doubles with her husband, Brent Lang. And we'll be watching. That is it for us tonight. For News Anytime, you can head to our website, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or download the CBC News app. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.